Welcome to another edition of the Business and Personal Podcast, where we bring you closer to the people you do business with and just share great stories of things going on out there. And thrilled today, in their busy season and on their anniversary day, the anniversary of the business, I should say, Melissa and David Lavender of Clementines Pastries are here with us to kind of share their story and talk about what's going on with them. So first of all, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
This is the Business and Personal Podcast, so let's tell people a little bit about yourselves and how you got to the point where you're at today, celebrating the third anniversary of Clementines.
Yeah, hi. Do you want me to go ahead and start?
Go for it.
All right, I'll tell a little bit about us. David and I actually have been together since we were in high school in 11th grade, and we got married at an early age. We continued our education and became parents at a young age as well. So this was the perfect time in life, coming out of COVID, to create a business plan. It was more David's idea. I had worked in the industry for quite some time and also make some products out of the house, sold cakes, things like that. And after COVID hit, it was just one of those things where I was uncertain as to what was going to happen with, the workplace and in food in general. So I wasn't quite sure where I was going to work. And with the thought of going to work for someone else as a future plan didn't sound so great anymore. My mom had actually passed away in 2018 and left some money behind. And so David and I started doing some big talk about what we wanted to do for our future. And opening a pastry shop in Mount Clemens became our vision. With a little push from this guy, we turned a retail space that had really once been nothing in a downtown area. It was just a regular retail, carpeted, painted space. It was never food service before. And we had to turn that space into something that would be food service friendly and that we could turn into a pastry shop for people to enjoy. We chose Mount Clemens because we live here as well, and it's nice and close to home. But we weren't exactly sure how it was going to play out. We opened the doors 3 years ago today, on the day. It was actually a warm, sunny day, luckily enough. I turned the sign to open. It being the week before Christmas, we really needed to make some sales. And we opened the door and people just started flooding in. And it's kind of been that way ever since, luckily enough. We're very grateful.
I would just like to chime in during COVID, as mentioned. We were doing a lot of reflecting, and the food service industry is a tough place to work. Kitchens are, not the most conducive to a supportive work environment. And Melissa always believed that you could get a lot more out of the service industry if you treated them with respect and dignity. So when she was kind of reflecting on her path and where she wanted to go next, I said, "You're the one who can create exactly what people deserve when working in a kitchen or the food service industry." And part of the business planning really focused on designing a destination pastry shop, which is what Clementines has become. And Melissa has done a great job creating a team of her workers who have been very consistent. Many people who own businesses or who run businesses are concerned about labor, consistency of labor, and quality of labor. And Melissa has had a solid team. Some people have been there since the beginning. Our current staff, all of them have been there for well over a year, and they understand what we're trying to accomplish, not only for them as workers, but for the experiences and quality that our customers deserve and require. So I think that all of that is very important to understand that Clementines is a destination pastry shop. Our slogan is small batch, bake fresh, and we focus on quality, not only of products, not only of experience, but we expect that for our workers and from our workers.
Well, as bad as COVID was, I love hearing good stories that came out of it. So, it's great to see what you've been able to accomplish. And, when you're starting a business and you've got your business plan, there's any business has its normal challenges, which you've already kind of outlined. But also, when you have a pastry shop, you have another layer of challenge of what do we put on the menu here? What's
Right.
going to sell? What are people going to like? So, kind of walk me through that process of what you just had to kind of guess would be popular, and then through trial and error, determine was your most popular items to keep on.
Well, I guess I didn't realize the need for a morning pickup, with the coffee kind of thing. I really was looking at it like cookies and brownies, cannolis, cream puffs, things like that, like dessert type items. And once we opened, all the prep work that I had done by myself in order to make the kitchen work effectively and move towards an opening, I was the only one baking, and so therefore everything I had baked in preparation for even just our first day to open, everything was gone the first day. And so right away I knew, oh my gosh, what am I gonna how can I move forward, and what are the things that people are looking for? So immediately breakfast pastries became a huge staple of something that we needed for that downtown spot. People that are just quickly grabbing something. Luckily enough, we chose a place next to Black Cat Coffee downtown in Mount Clemens. So we paired nicely with the coffee shop next door. We offer just plain black coffee, but they have all the espresso drinks and whatnot. You can pick up a coffee from next door and bring it to us, or vice versa. You can grab a treat and take it there. So we quickly moved into muffins and croissants, turnovers, things like that. Bear claws, you name it, chocolate croissants, cinnamon rolls. Some of my very favorite things, spinach feta croissants. People come in, grab that for a breakfast or a lunch. You can take it really quick, easy to go, walk and, head to walk around, shop, head to work, whatever. But choosing the menu items definitely came with time. And I want to say we probably started with maybe like 10 items to start. And on most days now we have anywhere from 40 to 50 items. And some things are staples and are there every day. And otherwise we make a lot of different, seasonal type treats, things that are just due to the Michigan seasons. So that's kind of fun to play with as well.
So as you sit here now, 3 years in, what are some of your top staples, things that have stood the test of time and still at the top of the list?
I think the top of the list is still the cinnamon roll and the spinach feta croissant. We have a chocolate chip cookie that we make. And I think the concept that I wanted to introduce at the very beginning, the vision I had was that we would be baking small batches throughout the day. It wouldn't be something that we would bake all at once in the morning, 50 cookies. And if they sell, they sell, and they don't, they don't. We'll put them out tomorrow. We don't do that at all. Everything that's baked, I said I'd rather bake 6 cookies 10 times a day than bake 60 cookies at the start of the day and then just have them sitting there. So we've introduced the idea too that if you like something and you're on your way and you want to have it fresh for you when you get there, you could call ahead and say, I'm on my way. I want that cinnamon roll fresh out of the oven. Can you do that for me? And we will go ahead and put 1 cinnamon roll in the oven, ice it real nice for you, and then when you come in, it's nice and fresh. So we do cater to people and their needs. We are baking a few of something. It's not mass produced like other places, so that's something to consider. If you're heading in and you come first thing in the morning, it's most likely going to be there, but throughout the day you might run the chance that it's not. So go ahead and give us a call and we'll take care of it for you.
Making me hungry here, Melissa. I got to concentrate on the rest of the podcast. I got a lot of questions to ask you, but now I'm all distracted thinking about the great food. So yeah, that's interesting too, just managing the inventory. So, how long are you able to keep things that don't sell, and how difficult is that to manage it, stay on top of it, and keep your margins where you want them to be?
Right. The first year it was very, challenging because we were trying to figure out, we don't know whether 10 people are coming through the door or 100 in a day. Some days we see over 200 people. Some days we see, no less than 50. So where do we figure out how to bake accordingly and have enough product on hand to serve? So as a staff, we're constantly challenging ourselves and making sure the communication from the front is headed to the back. Like, hey, we're down to 2 spinach fetas. Can you throw in a couple more? We're just always playing that game to try to stay ahead so that when people do come in, they can have that item that they're coming for.
And now 3 years in, as we review trends in sales, events that are happening, just things like that, we're able to do a better job at projecting and planning. But, it's still something that we try to get better at every day.
Every day. I guess that kind of comes to I always say, I tell the team, refine every time, because we're always constantly learning. Every recipe we make can be refined to just make it that much better. Most recipes are either family related, things that I picked up along the way. A French pastry chef I trained under when I first started working. So a lot of the recipes have come over time, and every time, when we do something, it can always be better even the next time.
And speaking of always learning, one challenge for any business owners, once you've had success at your first thing, it's like, not that you necessarily get bored with that thing, but it's like, what else can we do? What else can we add to the mix? And you learned this year that it's important to stay in your lane. And I think, you shared with me before we recorded just what you learned from it. And I think it'd be good advice to other business owners that are listening. So what did you learn this year about staying in your lane?
Okay.
Go for it.
I think I get a little overzealous. I get a little excited. I have a lot of good ideas, or what I think are good ideas. And I think I saw a vision in our city of Mount Clemens. We're on this, track into some great construction happening and some revitalization for our town. I got super excited and saw a space, a kitty corner from where we're at. The owner of the building had come over and asked for some advice about the kitchen and whatnot. And I came over, I saw the space, and I kind of fell in love with an idea for a cafe / market to be opened in that space. We did open at the beginning of the year. It was serving like fresh salads and sandwiches, things like that, grab and go items. The idea was great. We had a great amount of support. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough to sustain both businesses. If we had only maybe had that business, we could have made it work, no problem. But with the price of food, the cost of labor, we pay people fairly. We're not underpaying anyone or paying minimum wage. So it became very difficult as the year went on to not see the growth that we were looking for, and maybe in comparison a little bit to Clementines and what we had seen there. The growth was a little bit slower than what we wanted, and the construction hadn't been done for the city yet. In fact, we're coming into a time for construction in this next year. So while looking at it, it was a tough decision to kind of look at it and say, it's really not performing the way that we want it to. We've allowed it some time, and I just didn't see it growing further to where we would need it to be to withstand the construction that was coming. And so it was a big concern. We pulled our family together and those that work there and had a serious conversation, and it broke our hearts to have to say goodbye to our second business, especially, within 1 year's time. But I think sometimes when you just know, and it was one of those things where as much as we loved it and the people that did support loved it, it just wasn't enough right now for the time being. It's not to say that I don't think it could do well maybe after construction, and who knows what will be in our future. I didn't know we'd have one business, let alone to open two. But I'm grateful for the challenge and the opportunity. I don't take it as a failure. I take it as a learning experience to then be able to say, we have these ideas, we do have this potential, but maybe it's just we need to focus on Clementines and stay in our lane, like we talked about. I had said it many times before we opened and during opening, but I think we all got just a little excited for this new adventure, and it just didn't pan out like we wanted, and that's okay. I think that's part of being in this world, as a business owner. Clementines may have not made it. Who would have known? You know what I mean? I'm so grateful that we're here and it is successful. So we're going to take that as a win for the team and keep moving and staying in our lane that way, I think, if that makes sense.
I think it makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you scratch the itch for a little bit, didn't work out, no harm, no foul, and you go back to what you do well. And there's always room to grow within your lane too, right? So what are you hoping for in the future for growth for Clementines?
I guess once I started seeing its success in the first year to 2 years, I really kind of thought of it as this little hidden gem, or just this, like little special place that we created, and we just hoped that people would come and visit and support and get excited about it as well. And we have definitely found that. This year we took on a new client, the Detroit Lions. The head food and beverage director for Ford Field reached out to us in May and asked if we'd be interested in supplying some pastries for the VIP suites at Ford Field. So we had a nice meeting with them and came up with a plan. So we have been servicing them for all home games for the Lions. A few hundred pieces of pastries that go down there. We do cannolis and cookies, eclairs, things like that. And that's been a great surprise and a real treat to add them to our list of potential buyers and people that we have around. Our city supports us so well and those around us, but to make it to Detroit and such a big establishment is pretty great.
Are there any pastries you can feed the players to help them heal from all these injuries? That would be great.
We do have power bites. They're like little protein bites with oats and peanut butter and that sort of thing. Maybe we could figure something out for that after last night's loss, but I think we're going to do just fine.
Yeah. So, I was looking for like an interesting story from your first few years in business. I think that's a great one right there.
Yeah.
Are there any others, maybe like through a customer or whatever, just a funny story? Just I always like to close with something good like that. Anything else you want to share?
I think we knew we were off to a good start when our very first Christmas Eve, like I said, we opened December 16th, 2021. On Christmas Eve, we had someone come into our space. I think we had opened at, say, 9 a.m. or something. About a good hour later, a man had come in and offered to buy everything that we had made that day.
Wow.
And there were several, probably hundreds of pastry items, cups of coffee, we had bottled beverages, things like that. And I was kind of confused by what he was asking. He said, I want to buy everything. And I thought he was going to simply just like wipe us out and take everything with him and go. No, what he wanted us to do was he paid for everything that we had made that day. And throughout the day, as customers came in that Christmas Eve, they picked out their items. And when they got to the register, we were able to tell them that Santa had paid the bill and that, it was Merry Christmas for them. Some people were just in shock and surprised and so happy and thrilled. Other people, I could just see that it meant the world to them because maybe they were just on that last few bucks and they just needed something, and I still somehow get the goosebumps every time talking about that story. So that man kind of set the tone for what we were in for and that special things happen at Clementines.
That is just fantastic. And I know, David, it's going to be hard for you to top that, but any closing thoughts from you or just in general about the business?
Well, I think a very recent story. I wasn't there that day, and Melissa had told me, I think it was within the last week, the Detroit News was downtown covering the story of the downtown Mount Clemens revitalization project. And the reporter interviewed Melissa, and Melissa was in our retail space answering questions about the city, about Clementines pastries. And she said afterwards, the reporter walked out and there was a couple who had come into Clementines pastries for the first time. And the couple approached Melissa, and the woman put her hand on Melissa's shoulder and said, "I'm so proud of you." And that led to a conversation that they hadn't been to Mount Clemens in years, and their perception of the city was not positive. And she explained that what Melissa has built and what she's doing for the city really made them feel like downtown Mount Clemens and Clementine's Pastries is onto something special. And Melissa referenced earlier that her mom passed away in 2018. And this woman was, almost like a motherly figure. And Melissa really explained to me that it was not only a touching situation from a business standpoint, but personally, this woman was able to express her gratitude and just what it meant to see how far Clementines and Mount Clemens have come. So that was very special.
Wow. Just we could probably go on forever with all these stories. We only have so
There's
much
some
time
good
in the
ones
podcast.
for sure.
Just awesome stuff. And hopefully this podcast helps you connect with some new stories that you can create. How do people get in touch and start to try some of your delicious food?
So people can call us at 586-477-0359. Our website is www.clementinespastries.com. Facebook at Clementines Pastries, Instagram at clementines.pastries.
Yeah, I think too, you can go on our website and it tells a little bit about our story, where, who Clementine is, my grandma, who taught me to bake, a little bit about my mom, some offerings that we have, retail and menu items. So if you want to take a look there, that's a good head start.
And our shop is located at
57 Macomb Place.
Mount Clemens, Michigan, 48043.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks again for taking the time. Happy 3rd anniversary to Clementines, and here's to many more.
Thanks
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.